This 14-inch M1 MacBook Pro has been able to handle everything that I've been tossing at it since day one, editing my YouTube videos, making some graphic designs, and videos as a side hustle, like gaming with friends, doing some tedious uni work that everyone else has to do. To be honest, there really isn't anything that irks me during the past year, like the ridiculous loud fan even I'm running the lightest workload on my Intel MacBooks, the heating issue with the fanless MacBook Air, the lack of integration between devices of the Windows laptops. But it did come at a really hefty price that irks my bank account a little bit, so after a full year of use, as much as I've enjoyed the experience, was it really worth it? And would I get a different model if I can go back in time and make that decision again? Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to this channel, I'm a third year medical student here at University of Otago, and obviously being a young and naive student, I initially bought it under the need of an upgrade, but also the last of a whole bunch of fancy specs: the slim edge, the 1600 nit brightness, 1:1 to 1 contrast ratio, 120Hz refresh rate, the speaker system that they were bragging about. My inner monologue was literally like, man, Netflix is gonna look hella beautiful on it. And of course for Netflix I use my friend's account because they're just too expensive. In this video, I'm going to talk about the things that I really enjoyed, the things that could have been better, and the things that I thought that was exciting but didn't end up meeting my expectation. Let's start with the screen, which is certainly one of the biggest highlights of this laptop. So using the mini LED technology, this screen is all about gaining more delicate control over the light differences across the whole screen, making everything on the screen more vibrant. It has a pixel density that is slightly higher at 256 ppi versus the 224 on the MacBook Air, and a much brighter screen that can go up to 1600 nits compared to 400 nits on the Air. This is something that actually comes in particularly handy as a laptop, meaning you may work with it pretty much anywhere, solving the classic dilemma that when you want to study outside on a bright sunny day to enjoy the nice weather, it's either your eye that are getting blinded or your screen that's completely getting washed out by the bright sunlight. Even inside the library, there are often situations when the sunlight just hits through the window panel and shines straight onto your screen. On the sheet, there's also 1:1 to 1 contrast ratio and 120Hz refresh rate, which I thought was going to be something really exciting, but I didn't end up noticing much. Some of my friends who are really into gaming mentioned to me that they always notice a significant difference when switching to a 60Hz monitor from their 120Hz fancy gaming monitor, but unless I compare my MacBook side by side to my iPhone that refreshes at 60Hz, I don't really see any difference. One thing that really surprised me though was the speaker. Although it sounds really fancy the way they bragged about it, but I really thought I was gonna get used to it, just like I got used to the 120Hz refresh rate. But it certainly went way beyond my expectation, and has probably become my most frequently used source of audio output when by myself at home. It certainly sounds a lot better than my AirPods Pro and doesn't suffocate my ear like my AirPods Max during long-term use. Carrying this laptop around the campus though does get heavy from time to time, especially when I need to carry alongside my iPad, my headphone, my lunchbox and water. They really add up. The way that Apple deal with their connecting port is either too futuristic or just stupid. Back then they cancelled every single port except USB-C, and even now they just wouldn't give up on their USB 2.0 lightning port, even in 2022 on their $2,000 iPhone 14 Pro. Seriously man, even the AirDrop is twice as fast as that. The USB-C move though was a very advanced step, but the rest of the world just couldn't keep up, so I'm really glad this time that they took a step back. So with the 3 USB-C port, a MagSafe charging port, and an SD card slot, these pretty much satisfied 99% of my daily use. But there's two issues here. Notice how I didn't mention the HDMI port, and saying there's only 99%, so there's a 1% missing of my daily use. This is because I've never came across a situation that I'll need an HDMI cord, since I don't own a monitor, and even when I need to project my screen at uni, all of its projectors and displays always have a USB-C cord available, but I guess it's nice to have it just on there just in case. That 1% of my daily use come from the lack of a USB-A port. I guess I can partially blame this on Insta360 Go 2, a action camera that was released last year, which surprisingly only supports an ancient USB-A to USB-C cord, which forces me to use a dongle or an adapter every single time when I'm trying to transfer its data onto my MacBook. Although there's a small hiccup around the connectivity, the performance of this laptop is an absolute blast. During my past year of use, this MacBook would breeze through every single task that I'm performing on it. The editing experience is smooth like butter, and I can have dozens of apps running at the same time without needing to worry about the RAM is full or the CPU is overloaded. The fan has never speeded up to an audible level, but I did install an Mac fan control app just to make sure there's actually a fan on this beast because it's just simply too quiet on the daily use. The laptop does get warm from time to time when I'm editing videos or gaming, but once I manually crank up the fan to its max speed, it just cools down within minutes. And of course, I'm not saying this laptop doesn't have a performance throttle, it's just my workflow doesn't really involve anything like editing 4 or 5 4K video footage on top of each other while adding a whole bunch of motion graphics or performing some really graphically demanding games, but it is certainly more than sufficient for my daily workflow. As satisfying as the performance is though, I can probably do everything that I'm doing at the moment smoothly on a 13-inch M1 MacBook Pro, which is a lot cheaper. The amount of video editing I do on this laptop has nowhere near the point that I can justify my need for a machine like this. Hypothetically, if someone asked me what I would recommend for them to buy as a student, I would definitely say something like the M1 Air or the M1 MacBook Pro with the ancient design. It was certainly a bit of a luxury that I allowed myself to spoil on. Was it worth it though? Kind of. I would make a different choice if it comes again, spending that extra cash on traveling, ski pass, or other experiences that would enrich my life a little bit more. I'm not saying this MacBook is bad in value or not worth its price, it's simply the way that I used it diminished its worth. Having a more powerful machine like this though certainly allowed me to experiment on some more power-intensive tasks that I wouldn't even dream of doing on my MacBook Air. It has given me more creative freedom, allowing me to do things like creating my own transitions, motion graphics, record and edit multiple 4K footages. There might be a chance that it'll live up to its worth in a few years' time, but that really depends on what I do with it within the next few years. And just maybe there's a chance that this laptop could become the best investment I've ever made. And I guess if it doesn't become a really good investment, at least it taught me a really good lesson about how to spend my money. Just don't fall for the trap of buying something simply because you're imagining your need of having this in the future in a hypothetical situation.